let's talk about what's going over on at the White House. Because there is this Jen Psaki woman. She is the press secretary who will soon have a job on MSNBC because the swamp protects its own. And she was asked about Bill HB 1557 by Fox News' Peter Doocy.
What about this new law in Florida? At what age does the White House think that students should be taught about sexual orientation and gender identity?
Well, I would say, first of all, Peter, we have spoken to the Don't Say Gay bill in the past, I believe is what you're referring to, and made clear that as we look at this law, what we think it's a reflection of is politicians in Florida propagating misinformed, hateful policies that do absolutely nothing to address the real issues. I would note that parents across the country are looking to national, state, and district leaders to support our nation's students, to ensure that kids are treated equally in schools, and that is certainly not, this is not a reflection of that.
He's a liar. There's nothing else. I need a punching bag in the show. Can we get a punching bag in the studio? And for now on, every time I'm going to curse, I'm not kidding, I'm just going to punch. Can we get a Jen Psaki punching bag? I want her clown, depressed face right next to me. I'm not kidding. We're going to have to custom this. I don't know where you get one. Can we go to custompunchingbags.net or whatever? And I want her face right here. And every time we show a clip of her, instead of, because what's the point? What's the point of me constantly commenting on her? She's lying again. Everything she said was made up. Instead, I would just punch the clown. I'm not kidding. That's what we're going to have to do. I know you can't hit a woman. You can't hit a woman. Well, I'll just say she's a man. That's how we're going to have to do it. Anyway, she just lies. Everything she said there was a lie. This has nothing to do with hate. And notice she won't answer the question. The question was very clear. Doocy's question was very clear. What age do you think teaching this stuff is appropriate? And she doesn't. She immediately calls it Don't Say Gay, and she won't give an answer. Here's more from Psaki.
So if you guys oppose this law that bans classroom instruction about sexual orientation and gender identity in K through 3, does the White House support that kind of classroom instruction before kindergarten?
Do you have examples of schools in Florida that are teaching kindergartners about sex education?
I'm just asking.
Good question, Jen. Are they teaching this stuff to kids in school? She specifically says kindergartners, but obviously what we're talking about, are they teaching this to young kids in school? Well, you're not going to believe this one, Psaki.
In September of 2020, my daughter told me after school she had a meeting with school officials that was held behind closed doors where they asked her which restroom she wanted to use. I immediately contacted the school and was told by the guidance counselor and assistant principal that I could not be given any information regarding the meeting and that by law, my daughter had to be the one to authorize my notification of the meeting or attendance to the meeting. In other words, school officials asked my 13-year-old child her permission as to whether or not my parental rights would be honored. After many weeks of going back and forth with the district, we learned the middle school had created a transgender, gender nonconforming support plan with our 13-year-old daughter without our knowledge or consent. The plan was a 6-page document completed with my daughter behind closed doors with 3 school officials that included the guidance counselor, the assistant principal, and a social worker I had never met. During the meeting, they asked her questions that could have significantly impacted her safety and her physical and emotional well-being, such as which restroom she preferred to use and which sex she preferred to room with on overnight field trips. The plan also directed school staff to use my daughter's birth name when speaking to us, her parents, and to use a different name in school with teachers, staff, and students. This plan directed school staff to conceal from us that this meeting and plan had ever taken place.
Okay, so joking and glibness aside for a second, the question really is, do you think that woman is a bad person? Do you think she's a bigot or hateful or anything like that? Or do you think that she really actually only cares about the welfare of her child and that she should ultimately be the arbiter of the decisions related to a young child, that let's say her child is having some gender identity stuff or maybe thinks that they're gay or whatever else. And by the way, there are all sorts of phases in life, and there are people that detransition as adults. That's something that the mainstream media won't show you, obviously, because it doesn't fit the narrative. But, you know, there are kids that are in 6th grade that think that they're bi or gay that end up not being. And then there are married adults who have 2 kids that finally come to grips with their sexuality when they're 55 and it's too late. And then they've wrought all sorts of destruction on their family and friends and all sorts of other things. But if you watch that video, if you think that that mother is saying what she's saying because of hatred or bigotry or any of the pure BS nonsense that the media and the White House and the mayor of New York City and the rest of these people are spewing, you're very just confused. You're just very confused about the issue. They want parental rights dissolved. They want your children to be property of the state, and many people are willfully letting them do it.